How did you discover about the whole diet and everything else?
Yeah, I was diagnosed 16 going on 17 on a family vacation, hundreds of miles away from home. Was in a hospital for 2 weeks, realized immediately how much goes in this disease, how overwhelming it could be. Um, and then you kind of just settle in every day to accepting, holy moly, this is this is going to be intense. I'm going to have to know everything about lifestyle, nutrition, how much insulin I have to inject into my body to regulate this powerful molecule called glucose in the body that can be essential for life, but also extremely damaging tissues if left on abnormal levels, high and variable levels. And so, for me, the journey was actually a unique one. It wasn't like I said, oh, hey, look, I'm looking at this textbook that's 100 years old and they use this approach. Let me try it. That'd be a cool story, but that's not actually how it happened. Um, I was at a time in my life when I was younger, I wanted to be bigger, stronger, faster. So I was looking to I was fascinated about powerlifting, strength sports, athletics, and also bodybuilding. And so I was looking to become as big and as strong as possible. And I was fixated on this. And I had heard at the time of this ketogenic diet. Now, the way it was being presented was inappropriate. They portrayed it as magic. Nothing is quite magic. It can do some remarkable things, but it's not magic. And they portrayed it as if you could do just it builds muscle and shreds every ounce of fat off of you, which, although there's ounces of truth in this, but it wasn't the miracle per se that many people were portraying it at the time. But it was a very helpful tool, and so I tried it. But what I also found is, before that time, I had actually come across a professional athlete who was living with type 1 diabetes. And I had reached out to them because I thought, hey, look, I would like some guidance and help on my journey. And that's something that is for guidance for anyone out there who's looking for help on, trying to figure out how to do something the right way, or hey, I'm trying to get better at this or that. Look for someone who's doing it. Look for someone who's done it well, who's succeeding in life, who's, if nothing else, maybe achieving the top percent of their field, and look at them as an example. How did they get there? What are they doing? And so I became this individual. Ultimately, ended up helping me navigate my journey with type 1 diabetes very early on in my diagnosis. And I asked them about this diet, and they said, sure, I think it's a great idea, but hey, these are all the things you need to do it right. You need to change the type of insulin you're giving. You need to consider how you administer with food. It's a similar level of education as you get when you first get diagnosed with diabetes. Hey, this is the type of foods, this is how you administer insulin, this is the type of insulin, here's how exercise and other aspects of lifestyle will affect it. It's a whole new level of education when it comes to doing these lower carbohydrate approach, because it can fundamentally completely change your metabolism and physiology. And as a result, insulin, how glucose enters the body, how it elevates glucose, how it's different, these all change. And so this individual had already done this and was helping me as a professional athlete, utilizing it, decade ago, well over a decade ago. And ultimately, they helped guide me on how they did it. And it actually was almost instantly within 3 months. This is before they had CGMs. This is before, you could pull your phone up and go, oh, look, I have a sensor on my body called a continuous glucose monitor. And, you look at these things and, you see, well, it's blurred out, but, it helps tell you where your blood sugar levels are. And I didn't have that at the time. And so, I didn't have this clear 24/7 insight into what happened in my blood sugar when I was doing this diet. What happened was that I walked into my doctor's office, who happened to be the American Diabetes Association president and a remarkable endocrinologist. And he comes into the room and says, Andrew, what are you doing? And I looked at him and I'm like, okay, well, something must have happened. What's on that sheet of paper you got there for my blood work? And he said, I've never seen an HbA1c at this level before. And for your audience, HbA1c is an average of your blood sugar over a 2 to 3 month period of time. And what that number showed is that my blood sugar was in the completely normal metabolic range. So meaning my blood sugar was averaging below HbA1c below 7.5%, and millimolars, I believe that's 6.5 or is around 6.6 millimolars or less than that. And I was in the normal range, but I had type 1 diabetes, something that, that over 99% of people with type 1 diabetes will never see a number like that. And he had never seen one in his office. And so he brought out the medical students. He got me to go speak to the medical school, all sorts of things along the way. And that really opened my eyes. Like I was doing something special. Not only was I doing something special that other people were telling me must have been special, but I felt different. I wasn't having these highs and lows and fluctuations. I felt more stable. I started to perform better in all aspects of life, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally. And that's really what started the journey for me to realize not only, had I dealt with obesity as a kid and lost weight and realized how powerful exercise and nutrition can be then, but when I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, a disease where you are looking at glucose, insulin, and self-managing all of them every ounce of every minute of every day, that took my appreciation and passion for these things to a completely new level. And that's what brought me here. And that's what brought me to ultimately care so much, not just about type 1 diabetes, but the ability to translate lifestyle tools, i.e., lifestyle medicine, to people, whether you have a disease or not, to improve their wellness, to mitigate the disease or prevent disease in the first place, or in many cases, ultimately optimize physical and cognitive performance.
Right.